What if true family health isn't just genetics, but actually your daily choices? Intriguing? I thought so. Welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Anjali, the founder of Back in Balance. I'm a non cracking, non popping chiropractor and integrative functional nutrition specialist. I love helping families and workplaces optimize health by moving well, eating well, and living well. I'm especially passionate about empowering families as they navigate the 5 trimesters from preconception to postpartum and beyond by taking a 360-degree approach to nervous system regulation. Let's talk about generational health, genetics, all of those things. Did you know, this might seem a little unrelated, but did you know that kids will start mimicking posture by the age of 2? I didn't know that for the longest time, right? I knew kids were observing their environment and things like that, but I didn't know it was happening as early as the age of 2. And so that saying that means that kids are picking up all kinds of information from us, all the verbal, nonverbal, all of the things, all of our habits. And I mention this because in the past nearly 20 years now, I've been working with a lot of families, and a lot of times when we talk about making modifications to what people are eating, right, in the family, a lot of times parents come back and say, well, my child doesn't like to eat X vegetables, or my child doesn't like to eat X, Y, and Z. And in the beginning, I would, kind of make note of it, and we would work on our plan and all of that. And I didn't have kids yet at the time. And as we started going through this and I was working with a few more families and things like that, then I don't remember what prompted this question, but I asked one of the parents one time, said, well, do you like to eat? I think the vegetable was broccoli, if I remember correctly. But I said, do you like to eat broccoli? And they said, oh no. But I said, well then so you're not then serving broccoli, right? Because you're not eating it. So then your kid has also then developed the sense of, oh, we don't like broccoli, it doesn't taste good. And so fast forward to a couple of years later, and we were working with a number of families to do some aspect of an elimination diet, right? Where you avoid the typical inflammatory foods for a few weeks and then start to reintroduce them. And so in that time, we had a whole program of, here are the things that you can eat, here are some recipes to follow, some ideas to try, and things like that. And it was incredible because all of the families that had kids, they came back and they said, my kids are really loving these new things. And they were shocked because they were a little apprehensive before they started it. They wanted to improve their health. And so they were going to go through these things and, not wanting to make 4 different dinners, they made the same thing. And the kids loved it because the kids they were eating real food, but also they started to understand that this is what they just knew intuitively, right? That this tastes good when I'm eating real food, but it was also what was being modeled for them by their parents saying, we are making different choices when it comes to our health. And the parents didn't realize the impact that it was going to have on their kids, but it was amazing to see. And so now, if the kids are old enough to talk, I give the kids the assignment of help your parents every time you see them do X or Y or Z, remind them that, Dr. Anjali said, remember to do X, Y, and Z instead. And because kids love correcting adults because that's super fun, but also it gives them a sense of empowerment where they get to be involved in the choices that are being made, but it also resets how we think about generational health, right? For so many years now, we have been under the impression that if you have a family history of diabetes or hypertension or whatever that condition might be, that symptom might be, that we are destined to carry that on as we progress in future generations. I grew up having symptoms of eczema, and it was not surprising to me when my one of my daughters has symptoms of eczema. But just because we have a genetic predisposition for something doesn't actually mean that it's a death sentence for having that condition, right? We have a lot of control in terms of do we enhance the expression of that gene or do we suppress the expression of that gene? And how we make those choices of our day to day wellness can make a significant difference in how those genes get expressed, right? So, yes, you might be a little bit more susceptible for X symptom or a condition, but it does not mean that you are destined to have it. Our bodies are amazing at adapting and compensating. And if we feed it the right information, it will adapt and compensate in an incredible way. And so the next time you feel like, oh, well, it's just because my dad has X symptom, or my mom has this, or my grandparents had this, it doesn't mean that you get to just completely disconnect from it and take the back seat and just say, like, well, this is just my life now. It actually gives you a lot more responsibility, but it gives you a lot more control over the choices that you get to make on a day-to-day basis. So it might be a small change. It doesn't have to be something really huge, but one small step every day can make a significant difference, not just for your health and well-being, but if you have kids and regardless of their age, they will start to see the changes that you're making. And whether or not they want to admit it or not, you will become a role model for them in the choices that they make going forward. So, what if the keys to future generational health lied within your power and your control to say, you know what, today, instead of having my coffee first, I'm going to drink a glass of water first and then have my cup of coffee. We'll have a whole other video about that. But what if it meant that instead of going to sleep at midnight, I'm going to sleep at 11:45 or 11:30 p.m. instead and see what that feels like in my body? What if that meant that instead of having ready to eat meal, I'm going to maybe have that, but I'm just going to add in a little bit of a fruit or a little bit of vegetable or a little bit of something that I can shop from the perimeter of the store, right? So it can be something small, or maybe have a couple extra steps in your day, right? Rather than walking straight to the door, maybe take a long route to the door. So it just gives you a little bit more movement. It doesn't have to be really big. Like I said, a conscious change, but small and consistent every day will make a huge difference in your health and well-being. So this is exactly this type of stuff that we go through in the Healthy Human program. It's really about taking a step-by-step approach to making these lifestyle changes, not just for your health and well-being, but for future generations to come, so that we can really rewrite our generational health stories as a global community. We can shift this whole feeling of what it feels like to have significantly more energy, significantly more rest in our body, and significantly better adaptation and compensation for what's happening and all the things that are surrounding us. So if we could rewrite that story, think about what your children will write, what their children will write when it comes to what their health and wellness journey is looking like. If you are interested in learning more about the Healthy Human program, please click on the link below. We would love to see you there. And as always, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.